We talked a lot about him and what a dynamo. We first saw him on the team tour against the NHL clubs last winter. Here it is, first goal coming up.
Okay, well, there's Zlukov, dumps it wide over to Alexandrov. He picks it up off the boards and drops it in here for Vikulov. Watch Vikulov tip it. Back to Zlukov. Zlukov fakes the shot almost, and then fires over to Alexandrov, just right in behind Kern. Very, very pretty goal.
Just beautiful. United States hockey team in this Canada Cup tournament, midway in the period.
Here it is. Alexandrov takes... No, that's the last goal. We just saw it.
All right.
Okay, well, let's back
One more look at that. In any event, Curran was great under tremendous pressure. We might add right now that we just have had a final score come in from Winnipeg, and what an upset. Finland defeating Sweden 8-6. Here are these saves coming up now.
Here's Maltsev takes a shot.
And then Christie getting it in behind his own net, trying to recover for the United States, and he got checked right there.
We got the third Russian goal also.
And it was given away. Balderas, that was, with a fine save by Curran. Two-way playoff starting next Monday.
Here we are down with that third Russian goal again. Alexandrov takes the first shot, and Zlukov gets it up over the sprawling Curran. Can't do much about those.
So 2 goals by Alexandrov, and he figured in the third, a goal by Zlukov. Now we're back in the second period at least. Live action for you on PBS from the Spectrum in Philadelphia. Team USA working it down quickly into the Soviet zone. The Russians now getting some early pressure. Vasilyev has to wheel around in behind his net. Digs it across for Kapustin. Kapustin lobs a long pass ahead. Sargent has it now for the United States. Away from Kapustin. It is shot back in by Bilялетдинов, and it's offside of the American blue line. There he is. Gary Sargent, who's played so well for Team USA, played perhaps the best hockey of his entire career right here against many of these top teams from Europe and from Canada. Nairop in behind his own net for it. Now they work up the left side into the slot at center. Is Talafus inside the blue line. He bumps. Kapustin comes up with it. Gives Kapustin a good solid body check as it slides across to the other corner now. The Russians bring it out to the center ice area. Maltsev centering it. No one there is tipped away as Vikulov had to reach back for it. There's that dangerous line on the ice now. One of them for the Soviets. One of 2 big lines for them tonight. Talafus for Team USA. Rams it inside the line. Nairop away from Balderas. For Talafus for the side of the goal. A centering flip pass. What a stray. The Russians come back with Balderas carrying on against Sargent into the corner. Sargent lost his balance and fell. And it comes up the near boards now for Fatorik. Fatorik swings away at center ice. Mistime pass on the left wing slides into the Soviet zone in behind. No offside call of the play. And it comes out to the center ice area once again for Fred Ahern. For Mike Christie. Christie, as the Americans change across to Bennett. Bennett got taken out to the corner by Vasilyev. Dug it back at the point. Here's a chance. Roll past a Ahern stick. And then Alexandrov clears on the right side. It is loose. Inside the line is Zlukov. Zlukov getting set. It is shot blocked by Lou Nanny. Vikulov passed it back too far. It'll slide all the way back to the Russian area where Tretьяк has to stop it. Kulikov in behind his own goal, being checked by Nanny. Now Bennett back for Nanny. Nanny fighting for it, drags it across to this near side. Then he got stick checked and turned back in by Alexander Gusef, who stays with him. Now Alexandrov works it from the left forward to the center ice area for Vikulov. Vikulov inside the line with Zlukov. And Alexandrov, it slides out to center. There's a chance for Ahern. One-on-one, Ahern waiting. Ahern forced off to the wing into the corner, then losing possession of the Soviets who failed to clear. Nanny going in for it. Bennett took a long shot. That was blocked, and here is Vikulov. Vladimir Vikulov for the USSR with Alexandrov inside the line. He scores! The quick shot. Flicked by the stick of Vikulov as the fake. He bowed his head in a motion to go to Alexandrov and then let the shot go to make it 4-0. That goal coming at the 2-minute and 41-second mark of the second period. Here it is, Billy.
Okay, here it is. Watch the Russian player right here in the middle of your screen. Alexandrov doesn't go outside, and I think Mike Christie, when he went down to block it, The shot went over his shoulder, and I think Mike Curran was a little bit screened in that one, Don. He didn't seem to see it for the last second.
The way he reacted, that might have been the case indeed. 4-0 for the USSR. The Americans are going to dig harder now. They come out. Patrick's long shot is 12 rows up into the red seats, in behind the Soviet goal. With about 3 minutes gone in the second period, the Russians, as you have seen, have just scored their 4th goal. And wouldn't you know it, it's that same basic combination, that line, that has accounted for all the goals now. Vikulov putting in number 4. From the face-off, Williams slides it back to Rick Chartraw. He lobs it across the left boards, sliding in behind the Russian goal. Soviets start to work it out now. This is number 16, Krikунов, leaving it at the blue line. Picked up by big Harvey Bennett, and his shot was deflected again. And in Winnipeg, Finland has scored a stunning upset in this tournament tonight, defeating Sweden 8-6. No report as yet from Montreal, where Canada is playing Czechoslovakia.
That's going to make things interesting, Don. The Finn team beating the Swedes now. That may fire up the Russians even more.
Inside the American blue line. Sliding save by Curran as he came out to meet Alexander Skyortsov and cut off that scoring bid. Soviets know they have to win if they want any chance at all of being in that playoff starting next week. The favorites now, with Sweden losing, are Canada and Czechoslovakia, and to keep pace, the Soviet team must win this game tonight, and they must win their final game against Team Canada on Saturday at Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto. The Canadians, the only team with an unblemished record so far. Here's Nyrop in behind the American goal for Sargent. Sargent from the Los Angeles Kings slides it up the boards. Kapustin stopped in there, fed Maltsev. Maltsev setting, shooting, and Curran was screened but got his gloves on it. That high rising shot from the Soviet veteran. It's cleared down the ice. Team USA called for icing with 4 minutes gone in this, the second period.
Now after the replay that shot.
I don't think he saw that last shot, Billy.
Well, Kapustin wound up, and you don't see the Soviets take these big slap shots, but I think it hits the defensive stick right here. And it almost got Mike right in the face, almost.
Rising shot, very nearly did. Maltsev won the draw, then lost the puck. Sargent digs it out to the center ice area for Patrick. Patrick with O'Flэгerti missed the slap shot pass across. Going in for it now is Joe Norris. Norris and Maltsev had it slide in behind the Soviet goal. Hailed at the line by Balderas. He lost it. Norris lost it. Kapustin comes out with it, beats Maltsev to pass too far inside the blue line. Stopped by Mike Curran in the corner. Maltsev tried to feed it in front, and it's picked up instead by Nyrop. Bill Nyrop works the left side, slides it across the Soviet blue. Into the right corner for Norris. He gets a bump there for the Soviet defenseman. Comes over to Vasilyev on the other side. Vasilyev handled it right out in front. Here's a slap shot that was high and off the mark by Adel Hangsleben. They seem to be so over-anxious when they get their opportunities. They have no idea, Billy, where the puck is going.
No, well, Allen got some good wood in that shot, but again, it was deflected. The defenseman went down. He had to get it up over him, and he made a nice try to get it up over the defenseman, but he got a stick on it, and it went up into the crowd.
They seem to be afraid to make a move. They must get the puck out very quickly because they know how quick the Russians are in defending and recovering. Well, here's Alexander Gushev, number 2 for the red-shirted USSR, getting it out toward the center ice area. Chartraw played it inside the blue line, but caught outside there was Bobby Fatorik, and they will face off. We played just over 5 minutes in the second period. The Soviets have picked up their 4th goal early in the period, and it's 4-0 for the USSR over Team USA from the Spectrum in Philadelphia. You're watching it on PBS. Gushev in front of the goal, had trouble handling it. Now he works it out to center ice. Rink wide across. To Alexandrov, digging in the right corner, feeding it back. They pass it so beautifully. That time it's broken up, though. Chartrand starts Team USA back. 3-on-2. They hit the Soviet line. Inside, the backhand pass was blocked with the skates of Gusef to the corner. Fedoruk knocked off balance. He gave way to Kulikov. Across to Vasiliev, to Gusev, and it comes to the blue line, held in by Fedoruk, who's run down by the Soviet player Krikунов. And back at center ice for the Soviet team is Zlukov. Inside the line, almost. Alexandrov playing it back. They move it so quickly, they waste no time whatsoever in getting that puck around the ice. Gusev, right wing for Vikulov. Vikulov inside the line, feeding Alexandrov. Back for Gusev. His slap shot was blocked by Fedoruk. And the American team starts out at center. Here's Jensen inside the line with Kalafos. His sharp angle shot blocked by Tretьяк. Milbury came in and gave Tretьяк a chop, and the Soviet goalie was asking for a penalty. I don't think the officials saw it that way. The referee, Andy Lagasse from Canada.
I think Mike's trying to stir something up there and get Tretьяk a little off guard.
Well, Tretьяk hasn't had much to do. He may think he's not even warm yet. That certainly warmed him up. Let's watch it.
There it is. Steve Jensen can really skate. He cuts around number 2 there, the Russian defenseman. Let's go a hard shot. Tretьяk grabs. And you see Milbury come in and give him that little bit of a tap.
You might call it a tap. Might call it a chop. But nobody called it a penalty. At least not officially. Here come the Soviets now, inside the United States line. Myra ties the winger up in the corner. Comes across for Krikунov. Krikунov down to Belosev. Belosev got turned around in the corner as the Americans get aggressive now in their own zone and force a face-off on the tie-up in the corner. 13 minutes and 25 seconds of second period action remain, with the USSR leading Team USA 4-0 here in Philadelphia.
Team USA has got to get back in that Russian end. The last line with Fedoruk right there and Jensen, they had starting to get things rolling a little bit. You have to get some sustained attack down there on Tretьяk.
Vladimir Kovin will take the draw for the Soviet team. Digs it back to Krikунov, and it was centered in the slot, broken up by Nyrop, and out to center ice it comes. Krikунov tried to play it back in again. Sargent fed a left wing pass. Here it is inside the line for Ahern, shooting, and a great leg save by Vladislav Tretьяk. The best test for him in the period. Here's Ahern again. He shot wide. The Soviets, under definite pressure there, got away with it because of great goaltending by Tretьяk, and here is shooting by the Americans. Back comes the USSR. Belosev back to the point. Slap shot was blocked. Sargent tries to dig it out. Leaves it there. Lou Nanny coming out with it now. Works inside the line and bumped into a Soviet player, and the Soviets are away. They may have a breakaway. Belosev coming in. Oh, and he shot wide. Here's Kurt Bennett to Nyrop, who's had a lot of ice time for the USA team tonight. Along with Sargent. Now they change as the play goes right on. Action opening up here near the midway mark of the second period. Balderas hits the American line. Sliding in front with a shot. Blocked by Mike Curran. Bennett leaves it there. It's cleared ahead by Harvey Bennett to the center ice area inside that Soviet line. Williams forechecking, missed his check, hit the boards, but got the puck. Williams centering it out front. He shot wide. There's going to be a Soviet penalty here for holding, and it's going to be the big defenseman, Valery Vasiliev.
I didn't see this one, Don. We'll have to catch this one on the replay.
Watch number 6. Hold right there.
There it is. You could have called that one a hook also, Don.
Yep. I think it's the first time in the game the Soviets have been shorthanded.
Yes, that's right, Don. Well, Team USA started to take it to them a little bit there and putting some pressure on the Russians. They can't buy a goal, though. This USA team, I'll say, Freddie Ahern, who walked right in there a couple of times, just couldn't buy one.
Tretьяk had been tested just moments before. Made a good leg save on this one, Billy.
Very good shot by Freddie. Or is that Butch Williams?
That's Freddie Ahern's shot. Drove it at him. Then he got the rebound and shot it wide. That's the best test on Tretьяk in this period, certainly. Still 4-0 for the USSR, but now we'll watch the Team USA power play in action. Harvey Bennett will center it. Russian short for the first time in the game. Bennett goes into the boards with Bабинов in behind as they fight for control. He's got Chartrand back on the right point, who feeds it across the left side. Here's Petorik's shot. This crowd here warming up to the action now as they sense the United States may be able to come up and break this Russian goose egg so far. That long shot at Tretьяк through a maze of players by Chartrand. Now they push and shove in front of the goal.
Here we go, here we go.
Embers flaring, the USA and the USSR. Sticks going high in front of the Soviet net.
Bабinov gave one of the U.S. players there a cheap shot from behind.
Here's how it started.
Here it is. Chartrand gets an excellent shot away low, and Tretьяк makes a great save. He goes into that spread.
Here's where the wood chopping began.
Butch Williams in there.
Williams says, "Hey, fella, you touched my buddy." And he pulls Sergei Bабинов off. There'll be no penalties ensuing from that. Vasilev is off for interference, they called it, with 1:44 left, so it wasn't a hole, it wasn't a hook. He simply interfered with him, as it turned out. But it still cost him 2 minutes, and the United States just 16 seconds into their power play situation right now. Trailing 4-0, nearing the midway mark of this late second period. And in Montreal, there's no score after one period. Team Canada and the world champions from Czechoslovakia. Earlier, Sweden was upset by Finland 8-6. Petorik's over to Chartrand, winding up, and the shot was blocked just in front of the goal with the Soviet defense. Rick Chartrand digs it across to the far side again. Petorik's winds up. That's blocked by Tretьяk. All around the Soviet goal, the play is whistled down. There's going to be a high-sticking penalty, I think, against a Soviet player. Maybe one each way.
Yep, I think they got Bennett for high sticking, and the Russian player slashed him back.
So the Soviets will be down to 3 attackers plus their goalie Tretьяk, and the Americans will still have the advantage. Yes, in goes Harvey Bennett, tall, rangy player, and into the other side of the penalty box is Bilялетдинов for the Soviet Union. Bilялетдинov. I wanted to say it just once tonight to make sure I could.
When you weren't rushed, right, Don? I'll tell you, I can't believe the job you're doing.
That's a very common name he has if you live in the USSR.
It's an everyday, it's a housework.
So Bennett's called for slashing, the Soviet for high sticking. Game at 8:36 of the second period. Double penalties. The United States will have the man advantage. The Soviets are being ordered now from their bench to come back out and resume the game as they were huddled there with the coaches.
Have you noticed?
We saw this power play in the early minutes before those last 2 penalties. It looked very, very impressive.
These are the penalties right here. Number 5. Litnyov, Bennett giving each other a few love taps.
All right, Americans with a 1-man advantage. Russians have only 4 men on the ice. U.S. have 5. Here's Chartrand feeding it. Talafus couldn't get enough wood on the backhand shot on the relay. And the Soviets clear it down the ice. 1:12 left in Vasilyev's penalty. 1:45 left in the double minor penalty. Here comes Rick Chartrand with Talafus. They hit the Soviet blue line. Bouncing puck goes into the corner. Talafus stops for it. Digs it back for Sargent. Winding up. Oh, and on the deflection. Petorik's just missed putting it into the goal.
Good play again, Don. Geez, the U.S. team just can't buy one.
There'll be about 25 seconds of advantage for the Americans left after this. Here it is.
Here it is. Chartrand takes it into the corner. Feeds it back to Sargent. And just tipped over the top of the net by little Robbie Petorik's.
And Petorik's stays on the ice. The Soviets again conferring at the bench. Crowd booing because they've slowed it down now. Sergei Babinov finally comes out to become the 3rd Soviet player in front of Tretьяk. Petorik's with Talafus, Sargent, and Chartrand. Babinov did not clear from the corner. Petorik's comes up with it, beats. Oh, and Sargent's shot went wide. All the way around the boards and down the ice. Time running out for the U.S. manpower advantage in this penalty situation. Chartrand to Sargent inside the blue. Stops, makes the play back to Chartrand, back to Sargent, hopped over his stick. Petorek got tied up in the corner against the Soviet player Babinov, and they whistle it down. He's quite a player, young Bobby Petorek. Phoenix Roadrunners. They say that, as we mentioned at the outset, he means to this club what Bobby Clark means to Team Canada. I think we can see why. A real digger, an opportunist, a guy who doesn't let his diminutive size inhibit him in any way.
I'm impressed with him, Don. I've never seen him play before, and like you say, he's the Bobby Clark of Team USA.
No score in Montreal between Canada and Czechoslovakia. 8-6, Finland upsetting Sweden in Winnipeg, and 4-0 here, nearing the midway point of the second period, the midway point of the game for the USSR. Only seconds left now in this manpower differential on the penalty situation. So the U.S. will have to strike quickly. Kurt Bennett stands at center, wins the draw back to Bill Nyrup. Nyrup with Manny out there, feeds it on the left side. Bennett in the corner. Polich circling around in front. They dig it out. No one there to relay it. Held in by Lou Nanny. Nanny winds up right on Tretьяк, right at him. A high-rising shot. No trouble for the Soviet goalie on that drive. 10:08. All right, now in behind the Soviet goal, the Russians getting a little careless. Kulikov finally clears it to Vikulov. Vikulov at his own line to center ice, sweeps down the right wing inside the blue. Had his stick caught up, or his skates caught up with the stick of O'Flэгерti, and down he went. No penalty is called. Here's Norris waiting for it. The puck hit him from behind. It is pushed ahead by the glove of Zlutov, who swings inside the Team USA line. Zlutov in the corner got tied up by Milbury and lost it. Mike Milbury for Team USA, working slowly out against Vikulov with the pass to the center ice area. Inside the blue line is Norris, but he waited too long to carry it in, and his two line mates were offside. Don Chevrier with Billy Harris of the New York Islanders with you here from the Philadelphia Spectrum. On PBS, you're watching Canada Cup hockey. All right, from the faceoff, big Alexander Gusef in behind his own goal against Norris. Milbury stopped it against the boards. Gusef got it back, handed it away to O'Flэгерti. His quick shot stopped by Tretьяк and deflects into the crowd.
Don, the U.S. team has got quite an advantage in shots this period so far. I just hope they can keep it up. Outshot the Russians 9-4.
And it's only 16-15 overall. It was 12-5 in the first period for the Soviet Union in shots on goal. But the frustration mounts because the American team, despite the advantage territorially and its shots on goal, can't put one in. Now the Russians hold a little team meeting with Tretьяк again, drawing boos from the spectators here as they delay the action once more. Alexander Maltsev won the faceoff. Then the Soviets got tied up. Here's the pass for O'Flэгерti from Norris. Norris into the corner with it, digs it back on the point. That shot, a pass into the corner, went aimlessly wide. Norris escaped the check behind the goal. Maltsev took it away from him. Milbury winds up. Not enough wood on that slap shot. Norris has it. Can't find a man to pass to, and the Soviets dig it out, and here comes Sergei Kapustin. So Kapustin overskates the puck at the American blue line. Back with it is Rick Chartrand. For O'Flэгерti, it's too far down the ice. They'll call Team USA for icing with 8:17 to play in this second period. And there you see it, 4-0 for the USSR. And I see that you'll be here with the Islanders in Philadelphia, Billy, on September the 19th.
We open up here also, Don, our opening game of the season. It's here, I think it's October 7th.
You could pick an easier place to start, you know.
Oh, well, hey, if you're going to start, you may as well start with the best.
Face off with Maltsev in the circle for the USSR. Digs it back to Kapustin, winding for the backhand, lets it go, and a fine stop on the short side by Mike Curra. Out come the Americans now. Here's Butch Williams working it inside the line, taken away by Kapustin back at center ice. Williams circles, shoots it inside the blue line, but again, those quick reacting Russians get it out to the mid-ice area. Here's Bennett. Dropping it back, the slap shot by Williams, and Tretьяк had a little trouble with that one. That might have been partially screened. The Americans now in shots on goal are just one behind in this game.
Here's the replay.
Got a big edge in the second period, but no goals.
Here you see Kurt Bennett dropping it back to Butch Williams here. He gets a good shot away. A little bit of a screen. No rebound, though. Watch Tretьяк cover up that rebound. He doesn't leave too many of those lying around.
Solid goaltending you can always expect from that man. You better have a good shot to beat him.
That's what we try and do with Kenny Dryden, Don. You know, he always gets that first one, but you got to get someone in front of those rebounds.
Yet Dryden's lifetime average against the Soviets is over 6 goals a game. It's amazing the trouble he's had with the Russian sharpshooters, as Curran has had tonight, but he's played so well. Out in front, oh, a great chance for Bennett there. He didn't see the puck, and when he did, he was tied up by Vladimir Kovin. Soviets have been under pressure for minutes now, but the United States just can't put it all together and mount into a goal. Here comes Kovin down the left wing. Pushed off the puck by Sargent. Sargent passed to center ice. It's left there, an open wing now in the relay as those Americans are not sticking to their positions, getting over anxious. Pops into the U.S. zone. Tried to pass it in front for Belousov. It didn't arrive. Now Sargent. A lot of ice time for him in this game tonight. He's played exceedingly well. Works it up the boards for Williams. Long relay. That's ruled free. Across the blue line. Going in for it there was Craig Patrick. He bumped with the Soviet defender, Sergei Bабinov, and then goes in and pounds him against the boards. But the Russians come up with it. Belousov to center ice. Feeding it for Skvortsov. Skvortsov across the blue line. Into the corner. Waits to make his play. Digs it back on the point. Over to Alexander Gusef, winding, and that was blocked with the stick of Mike Sargent. Sargent now will bring it out for the United States. Long center ice pass, broken up by the Soviet player Bабинов. Inside the line, right in on Mike Curran, a fine save by the American goalie. Bабinov again. They pushed in front of the goal. Curran got backed into with a Soviet player, and then Curran pushed off the Soviet player to give him the goalie Curran a penalty. Changed the referee, Andy Lagasse, halfway across the ice, but it won't change anything.
I didn't see what started. I just saw the great save he made. And all of a sudden, there's a big roar. Number 17, Curran. Curran's pointing to the ref, Lagasse, the crease. I think he's arguing that Skvortsov was in the crease.
Let's have a look.
Great pass right there.
On the follow-through there, he belted the American goalie, went into him, and then Curran simply pushed him out of there.
Couldn't see too much wrong with that.
Bit of a cheap call, I'd say, Billy.
I think that was Bабinov who slipped that pass through to Skvortsov. Just an excellent little flip pass through the legs of the defenseman.
I think the Soviet player inadvertently went in too far on Curran, and Curran naturally had to push him off. But the official, Andy Lagasse, saw it differently, and so they'll have to find a man to serve this penalty for the goaltender, Mike Curran. We have 6:14 to play in the second period. The Russians lead at 4-0. And the penalty is for interference. And Jensen has won the dubious honor of going across the ice to sit out the penalty for goalie Mike Curran. Soviets will have their power play on the ice again. And guess who they send out? That line that's responsible for all the goals. Alexandrov, Zlukov, and Vikulov. Gusef back on the point with Alexander Kulikov. Alexandrov with it now. Back to Kulikov, winding for the shot that was blocked by Bennett. Rolls to Alexandrov from the corner. Bennett on the boards for the United States clear. And it's gloved by Gusef as he circles back inside his own blue line. Here comes Vikulov being turned around by Bennett. Alexandrov goes back to pick it up and mount a play for the Soviet Union. Over to Kulikov. Rink wide for Alexandrov. The left winger inside the United States blue line feeds it across from the far point. Kulikov back to Alexander Gusef. Gusef back to Kulikov. Kulikov getting set, passing in front. Alexandrov. It hopped past him. And it's picked up by Chartres, who got it out over the line and in among the spectators at the Soviet bench. A minute 17 left in Curran's penalty being served by Jensen. 5.5 minutes to play in the second period, and the Soviet Union leads the United States 4-0 in Canada Cup hockey here on PBS. This United States team put together in Providence, Rhode Island, a training camp by Bob Pulford has come a long way, just a few weeks. They've got a long way to go tonight if they want to come back and beat the Soviet Union. They trail 4-0. Here's Vasilev. Across to Gusev. Relayed back. As the Soviets finally start out with Zlutkov carrying. Ahead to Alexandrov. Fakes a shot. Goes right in. Got hip checked by Sargent. The puck's in the crease and Curran lost it for a moment. Went down to cover up. And force a face-off. Sargent got a good piece of Alexandrov coming in that time. Less than a minute left in Curran's penalty being served by Jensen. Here's Sargent shooting it away to a corner. Vikkulov with it for the USSR. Vikkulov winds and shoots from that sharp angle, and there to cut it down and cover and hang on was Mike Curran once again.
The Russians are shooting a lot more, Don.
Here's the replay.
Here it is. Now, normally the Russians will try and set something up from here. You wouldn't see a Russian take a shot from this bad angle, but maybe want to try and catch the goalie off guard.
Late change after the face-off. Puck was dropped for a moment, and now they'll do it again. As Bob Pulford changes personnel to try to kill off the remaining 48 seconds of this interference penalty. There's Big Gusev. Of Olympic and World Championships with the Soviet Union. 2 series against Team Canada, 72 and 74. And, of course, that tour of NHL cities this past season. All right, play resuming. Shot to center ice by Nairop for the United States all the way down to the Soviet zone. About 35 seconds left of the penalty now. The Americans trying to keep the pressure on the Russians in their zone, but the Russians break out. It's 3-on-2. Across the line, Zlutkov back to Vikkulov. Vikkulov setting for Alexandrov, and the puck never got there. Sargent looks up at the clock, skates slowly to kill some time, has to go back for it, and a check by Alexandrov, and feeds it back inside his own line for Bill Nairop. But Alexandrov is with him all over the ice. Gusev watching it slide down in behind his own goal now. 5 seconds left in Curran's penalty for the United States. Out comes the Soviet Union as they change on the go. They've got Maltsev out there now. Alexandrov shot blocked. It was tied up by the American defense. The rebound was shot wide. Vikkulov got knocked down by Sargent. Back comes Fedoruk. Long lead. Headman pass. Just missed at the blue line. Good check. No penalty call. Fedoruk tries to center it out. Pops him behind the goal into the corner. Alexandrov with a long shift for the USSR still on the ice. Plays it for Maltsev. Maltsev stopping in the corner, lost control. Back comes the United States team, but it's broken up by Kapustin. The Soviets constantly forechecking, constantly coming forward and putting pressure on the Americans. Puck slides down to the U.S. zone. 3.5 minutes to play in the second period. An aimless pass floats back to center ice, picked up by Vasilev. Ahead for number 19, Balderas. Balderas inside the line, but taken down by Milbury. Back comes Team USA. This is Fedoruk backhanding it in front. Oh, what a great chance there as Dean Talafus came right in on Tretьяк. Here's Fedoruk missing it. Flips it back. Talafus keeps it in. Talafus centering it for Jensen, hopped over his stick, and Balderas comes out with Kapustin. Across the line, rolls it down beside the United States goal. Could have been a high sticking call on that last play at the blue line, but it went unnoticed by the officials. The USA with 2.5 minutes to play in the period of a play broken up again on the blue line. Here comes Maltsev. Maltsev inside the line, left it right there. Talafus 2-on-1 with Patrick inside the line, getting set to pass to Patrick, broken up by Balderas, floating back to recover for the USSR. Here's Krikунov. His centering pass, the shot by Belousov, blocked again by Mike Curran. We have just over 2 minutes to play now in the second period. Soviet Union 4, the United States nothing in Canada Cup hockey from the Philadelphia Spectrum. The Americans with their chances to be sure in this period, but they have not capitalized yet. The Russians coming on stronger once again. Kovac inside the line, drops it there. Oh, a deflected shot by Belousov, rolled wide. In behind the goal goes Skyortsov. Skyortsov getting it back for Krikунov. Krikунov lost control, and finally out to center ice it comes on the stick of Butch Williams. Williams hit check by Vasilia. Finally had to give the puck up. Patrick comes skating in. He can't gain control. Out comes the Soviet Union. This is Belousov inside the line. Waiting on the boards to make his play. Centers it out. Sargent intercepts and heads back for the United States with 1:15 left in the second period. That pass rolled across two lines. They'll face off just inside the American blue line, Billy.
Geez, the Russians just never stop coming. I don't know if you've noticed them, but they've been coming out of there 3-on-2. I don't know if the U.S. team is tiring or the shifts may be a little too long, but they seem to be getting caught. And it's forcing the U.S. defensemen to back in. Now they're giving the Russian team the blue line every rush down, and that gives them time to set up their plays. You have to meet those Russians outside the blue line, force the offside, or force them to make the play.
I know Bob Pulford told you, and the players did have a basic plan for this game, but it's been impossible to execute that plan the way the Russians have played.
Well, that's part of the reason why the U.S. team is getting caught up, Don. They're going in forechecking what they try to, but it's
They're getting caught, you're right. Alexandrov lost control there. Norris for the United States starts a play away inside the Soviet blue line. O'Flэгерти in the corner, rolls in there. They bump against the boards. Less than a minute left of the second period now. 4-0 for the USSR over Team USA as Vikulov brings it out to center ice. Hits the USA blue line. Then as he stepped inside, had a stick check by Alan Hangsleben. Gusef out to Alexandrov, or is Alexandrov to Zlukov across the right side over the blue line. Lost control there with 30 seconds to play in the second period. Here's Rick Chartrand for the United States, or Milbury at the blue line. It's offside. O'Flэгерti got caught in there, I think. They'll face off at the Soviet blue with 23 seconds to play in this second period. Remind you again that Sweden has been beaten by Finland 8-6 tonight in Winnipeg. And after one period in the Montreal Forum, Team Canada and Czechoslovakia are scoreless.
There's Milbury.
Mike Milbury has given the United States defense some excellent service tonight. Paired out there with Rick Chartrand. Gets the puck right now. Just 20 seconds to play in the second period. A hard, long drive handled easily by Tretьяк. Comes to Kapustin on the boards. Rink wides it across the ice to Balderas. Drop pass for Maltsev. Maltsev closing in. And the sliding save by Mike Curran. He'll hang on and produce a face-off with 7 seconds left. Just can't say enough about this goalie, Mike Curran of the United States team.
Watch this, Don. Now watch this. Maltsev take this check. He knew he was going to get hit and drops it to Balderas, was it?
Right. And out was Curran.
Great save again by Mike Curran.
Played it perfectly, didn't he? There's a good look at Alexander Maltsev, aging veteran of the Soviet team. And 3 Olympic Games with them and numerous world championships. And right now winning a face-off in the corner, but it rolls to Bill Nyrup. Nyrup up the boards, just 1 second left now. There's the siren to end the second period of Canada Cup hockey action here at the Spectrum in Philadelphia. A much, much better period for Team USA. They outshot the Soviet Union. They held them to only 1 goal, and that sounds a bit ironic or a bit inconsistent, but the way this game is going, if you can outshoot them and hold them to 1 goal, you've done well. Unfortunately, Billy, Team USA could not put it together offensively inside the Soviet goal. And if the United States could somehow come back and win this one, because Sweden has lost tonight to Finland, they could be in a 3-way tie for 3rd place. Third period play is underway, but the American team has got a big challenge ahead of it now as the puck is chopped by Ahern up into the crowd. Alexandrov getting 2 goals. Zlukov and Vikulov, 1 each for the Soviet Union. That line accounting for all 4 USSR scoring plays tonight. Puck dropped by Matt Pavlich, comes out to the blue line area, held in by the United States. Here's Milbury keeping it in for Bennett. Bennett stopping, flips it right up beside the goal. No American in position to make a shot. Milbury against the board, centers it out. That was deflected, and the Soviet team now brings it out. Here is Vikulov with Alexandrov. They hit the USA blue line. Good moves by Alexandrov, but no one to pass to on the relay as Zhluktov was out of position. Chartrand ties up Vikulov behind the goal, allows Milbury to carry it out. Across to Bennett. Kurt Bennett across the Soviet line. Drop pass for Polic. For Ahern had it bounce off his stick, and a stick check by Vikulov. Shoots it back in, but trapped there was Bennett for the offside call and the ensuing faceoff, which will come just outside the Soviet blue line. Shots on goal at this stage in the game, 21-18 in favor of the Soviets, but they've got a 4-0 lead. Don Chevrier along with Billy Harris of the New York Islanders with you from the Spectrum in Philadelphia tonight on PBS Live Canada Cup hockey action. Shot in by Alan Hangsleben. Cleared around by Bilyaletdinov for the Soviet Union. Gets it out on the right side for Lebedev. His first time on the ice tonight. Lebedev's relay. And just missed by Golikov as the Russians change players and put new ones out there early in this third period. They bump inside the blue line. The Soviets skating it out back toward their own zone to get something organized. Yuri Lebedev getting it across to Vasiliev. And Vasiliev relays it off the boards past Golikov down the ice. Curran lets it go. No icing is called. Waved off by the officials. Sargent overskates the puck. Repnev also on for the first time. A complete new Soviet line. Works it behind the goal. And he was checked by Norris. This is Norris working out to center ice for Team USA. Slowed down by the nagging harassment of number 13, Golikov. In behind the goal. O'Flэгерти bumps as the puck slide around. Lebedev with it. Back to the other side. Coming out to Repnev. Repnev sending Lebedev away at the blue line of the United States. Setting for a shot. Way off the mark. 10 rows up in behind Mike Curran. Here in a moment. It's about a baseball score. There it is, the 4-2 win for the Phillies, so they have finally won a ball game. The Soviet Union is not yet tonight won a hockey game here, but they're well on their way with a 4-0 lead over Team USA. That time remaining is time left until the first half of this third period is over. Then they'll change ends. Now 7:35 remaining. Here's Patrick losing it. Center ice. Bабинов for the Soviet Union. Played in by Belosev. Goes around behind the goal. Stumbling there against the boards was Mike Christie. Having trouble clearing now. Soviets clear it high in behind the referee Andy Lagasse. Into this corner for Patrick. Out for Christie. Christie being watched by Soviet players. Bабинов just kept it in. Now team moves out. Here's Harvey Bennett going inside the line of the corner against Bабinov. Plays the puck, not the man. Tries to tie it up for a face-off and succeeds. There'll be a face-off with 6:51 until they'll change ends. 16:51 left in this third period. Well, this number 4, Sergei Bабinov, has played an outstanding game for the Soviet Union. He's a new one to me, Billy. He wasn't around in previous tours.
I've never seen him before, Don.
But indicative of the tremendous depth of hockey talent in the Soviet Union. They keep coming up with new ones all the time. They've left Yakashev at home, Varlamov at home, Mikhailov, so many of the veterans we've come to meet. No, Sagankov, and yet with this new team, these new players, the Soviets are dominating here again tonight. Long shot handled easily by Tretьяк.
I'd like to get into why they brought these players over a little later, Don. We get a break.
All right. Working inside the line was Rick Chartrand. Finally had the puck taken away by a guy that's very familiar, Alexander Gusef. Vikulov is up top line, is on the ice now, battles against the boards with Milbury for possession. Comes out to Talafos at center ice. Gusef with it for the Soviet Union. His pass for Zlukov popped over his stick. Chartres to Talafus. And that pass for Fatorik went astray. Americans being pinned in. Now they come out to center ice at the Soviet blue line. Inside the drop pass for Fatorik. For Jensen, off the mesh, the back of the goal. Jensen tries to jam it in front, being tied up by their strong player, Alexander Kulikov. And that'll bring about a face-off to the right of Tretjak. Yes, about this thing you wanted to bring up, Billy.
Well, Don, I was listening to the press all along before the tournament started, and the Russians put in a list of a certain amount of players that they didn't include certain big names. And then, when they applied for their visas, these names were on the list. But there is a lot of new ones. Now, these are younger players. Now, the Russians apparently claim that they want to get these players ready for the World Tournament. Now, there's been a lot of controversy over whether possibly the Russians were scared of losing, and they're using this as a cop-out, or these players may be used to playing on the smaller Canadian surface. I don't know, but maybe they thought coming over here, playing all the games over here, they just didn't feel they were going to be able to win it.
I think that's partly true, what you say. Also the fact that you can't, you have to try to understand the Soviet line of thinking, and that is that this is not a world championship to them. The official world championship is in April in Vienna, and to them that means much more. But don't kid yourself. I'll tell you, they'd like to win here. They'll downplay it by saying we had new players if they don't.
Well, I think that these are their best players. There's no doubt about that.
As of right now, and just think what's left back home in case these don't pan out. Anyway.
If these aren't their best players, I'd hate to see their best ones.
Well, Yakashev I'm certainly thinking of for one. Against the boards, there's Nairop taking the Soviet player Lebedev heavily in there, and the play is whistled down. There'll be a face-off coming up just inside the Soviet blue line with exactly 15 minutes left in the third period and the game, and 5 minutes remaining until they'll change ends here in the third period.
Another thing, Don, I don't know if you've noticed in those shots down by the Soviet bench, they've adopted, no doubt about it, some, what could you call it, American habits or traits, Canadian traits of the game. But do you remember the announcer used to be on the bench? Mm-hmm. Well, now their announcer is just sitting down from us. Nikolai
Rozarov. He used to stand on the boards and do play-by-play, and it's taken him till this year to move upstairs where you can see the game a whole lot better. All right, play resumed. Inside the line, that pass went to an open corner for the Americans to pick it up and bring it out of there. Here's Christie feeding on the left side. That shot was blocked. Hard slap shot by Alan Hangsleben. Broke his stick on the play, digs back for a new one at the United States bench as the Soviets come out. Krikунов inside the line. Kodov had his pass broken up. Slap shot by Bабинов, deflected. That's up into the crowd, 6 rows deep. Middle of a face-off at a 4-0 game with 4:16 remaining until they change ends in this third period. Sweden has been beaten by Finland 8-6 in Winnipeg tonight. And after 2 periods, getting set for the third of the Montreal Forum, surprisingly, in many ways, no score between Czechoslovakia and Team Canada. Saturday, Canada plays the Soviet Union in Toronto, while the United States will take on Finland in their last scheduled tournament game. The Finns, after winning tonight, are going to be tough. Here's Patrick losing it to Maltsev, and Maltsev got turned around. Patrick won it again. Vikulov digs it out in front, and Gusev's shot was deflected wide, and that goes out of play.
Certainly isn't as enthusiastic as when the Flyers are playing.
I remember that 7th game a couple of years ago in your semifinal series against them here. I have never heard so much noise in one building in all my life.
Well, they had their lucky charmer with them that night, too, Don. That gets the crowd going pretty good. Old Kate
Smith, and then just seconds after the game started, they scored a goal, and the Islanders were sunk for the night. 7th in the deciding game. But a great series it was. Here's Gusev. Patrick almost stole it, and a bad pass by Gusev. Covering up for the Soviets there was Zlukov. They go inside the line with Vikulov. Vikulov turning, relaying it out to the far side. Here's the slap shot. That was knocked down. Chartres against the Soviet player as he falls. Plays it in behind his own goal. Then up the left boards, the puck slides down the ice inside the Soviet blue, and Big Gusev goes back for it. Digs it out, but Patrick intercepts for the United States to Chartres. Chartres, way offside as the American player, Williams, was caught deep in the zone, and they'll have to face off at the Soviet line with 13-13, 3:13 left until they'll change ends in the third period. up, gets it back from Sargent, then overskates the puck. Here's Jensen to the line. Stopped there by Bilялетdinov. Now Nyrup, U.S. team captain, skating slowly in his own zone, moves the puck forward to the left wing to Jensen. He was checked by Lebedev. Lebedev, a quick relay in front of the goal. Passing it out in front again, and Repnev couldn't get there. Here's Lebedev. He's being tied up by Nyrup. Puck slides up the boards and finally out back inside the Soviet blue line. Soviets not passing with the crispness they had earlier in this game, but they've got a 4-0 lead now, and maybe you're sitting back on it just a little bit. Patorek to Jensen. Jensen got stick checked. Puck hops out to the line now. Christie holds it in, shoots, and the deflection just pops wide. Oh, solid body check there as Christie sailed into the Soviet player, Vladimir Repnev, and set him flying. Christie falling dangerously. Oh, and he got the puck over just in time to Lou Nanny as the two Soviets were swarming around for it. Zinetula Bilялетdinov in his own zone leaves it for Valery Vasiliev. Patorek takes it away from him. Takes it back into the corner for Talafus. Talafus passing it in front of the backhand shot. Oh, hurried too much by Kurt Bennett. He could not get a good drive away. And it comes to the United States line, and inside the hard drive was stopped by Curran off the stick of Vasiliev on the slap shot. Here's Bennett. Center ice. Soviet line inside. Digs to the corner. Still has the puck back to the point, intercepted there by number 23, Valery Belosev, and down the ice it comes back to the American zone. Here's Bennett, 2-on-2. Bennett with a hurried goal. They shoot over top of the goal, and a great scoring chance again, miscued by the American team. Less than a minute left till the change ends in the third period. Here's Belosev. Under pressure, falling. No penalty there. Just some good tight checking by the American player Lou Nanny on defense. Christie has been throwing his weight around in the last few minutes. Gets it out to Polic. Polic inside the line. His shot goes wide. Ahern carries on the corner against Babinov. Babinov wins it. Takes a stiff check, but gets the puck free, and it slides down the ice as the contact picks up here with now 20 seconds to play until they'll change ends in the third period. The Soviets lead 4-0. Opening up a little bit now as the American team fires it down wide. The rebound, and Williams hammered one. Or it was number 29, Hangsleben, fired one from point-blank range. They're taking runs now. That'll likely be a charging call. Running at the Soviet player was big number 3, Rick Chartrand, and a penalty that really he shouldn't have taken.
No, that was needless. He's big and strong enough just to stand still and hit him, but I still don't think it was an elbow, Don. It looked more like a charge, if anything.
Chartrand took about 6 steps to get at him.
Here's the previous check by Sargent.
Earlier we saw some great checking. Here was that was Christie coming in and belting the Soviet player in the corner, Vladimir Repnev.
He went right off after that one too, Don. He was shaken up a little bit.
That wasn't the penalty call, by the way. That was a previous check. This one they call Chartrand for elbowing at 9:58 of this third period. So we'll have 2 seconds, just time for a face-off, and then they'll change end. There it is. They drop the puck. They know there's no time. Gusef hangs on to it, and now they will switch around for the final 10 minutes. And I should explain how this rule originated. It was when hockey was played on outdoor rinks in Europe that they used to make it fair in case the wind was blowing one way or there was a snowbank at one end. And actually, since they moved indoors, they've retained it. But it's good for the spectators because you get to see your team, whoever you're cheering for, at your end, wherever you're sitting, for exactly half the game.
Unbelievable. Where did you pick that one up?
Somewhere in Europe.
Well, I can remember when I used to play outside, Don, and it would make...
Win, but it'll come back against the Soviet Union, trailing 4-0 now, as we move to the final 10 minutes of this Canada Cup tournament game. Here's Zlukov sending Alexandrov away inside the line. Back to Vikulov. Vikulov tried to steer it in front of the goal. Couldn't do so. Sargent broke it up. He looks a bit like Jim Nielsen physically. Plays like a strong heads-up defenseman. Got it down the ice. And the Soviets, Vasiliev with it now. To Gusef. They've been a pair for years. Veteran defenseman. Hat-trick for the United States. Couldn't make the blue line play. Now the Soviets, Alexandrov with it. Alexandrov waiting. Weeds his way through O'Flэгерti. Vikulov, and the shot was blocked at the defense. Nairov got a piece of it. Slides to the corner. Vasiliev over to Alexandrov. Back to Alexander Gusef. Waiting to organize their play now. They got the power play advantage. A minute left on the American penalty. Gusef feeds it down the boards. Takes it back on the point. They'll take all night until they can make it work. Over to Vasiliev. Vasiliev feigns the slap shot, drives it down to Alexandrov, and then a miscue. It's picked up by Craig Patrick. Back he comes for Team USA to center ice. With Sargent inside the line, or O'Flэгерti. The Soviets pick it up. Vikulov to Zlukov with Alexandrov 3-on-2. Oh! The defenseman Nairov fell. The relay in front of the rebound. It's still loose in there. And finally, Nairov recovers for the United States, but does not clear all the way out. Vasiliev gets it across to Alexander Gusef. Gusef into Zlukov. Back to Alexandrov. Setting to Vasiliev. Hopped over his stick. Out it comes. 15 seconds left of the penalty. The United States may now be able to kill the Soviet power play. Chartres off for elbowing. Just 5 seconds left in that penalty now. We have 8 minutes left in the game, and the Soviets lead 4-0 here at the Philadelphia Spectrum. Chartres back on. The teams are at full strength. Here's the pass for Lebedev. That's called on the offside at the American blue line. By the way, midway in the third period, in Montreal, no score between Canada and Czechoslovakia.
Okay, let's have a look at Curran saves from behind the net.
Billy, here's Mike Curran at work.
All right, here's the Russian player cutting out in front. Let's go a very hard shot, and the rebound goes over to the right. The pass back over to the Russian, off the crease there we saw, was blocked by the U.S. defenseman. That's typical of those Russians, though. They don't like to spoil a shot, take a bad shot. They'll set somebody up.
They'll wait all day until the right shot comes along. Lebedev, long lead. Headman pass for Repnev goes too far. In fact, far enough to be called for icing, and they'll bring it back. With 7:39 to play in the hockey game. 4-0 for the USSR. Philadelphia has been the home base of the American team. They've played 2 games here. They tied the Czechs 4-4 the other night, and now trail the Soviets 4-0. They will be playing in Montreal, their final game on the weekend against Finland. The Finns tonight knocked off Sweden 8-6. That'll be quite a finishing game for both these teams. Here's Christie from the point. His deflected shot goes wide. Bennett against the boards. Gets tied up by Vasiliev. Christie keeps it in from the left point. Vasiliev for the Soviet Union, getting it around on the far side, and finally out to center ice. Golikov works it out there. Vasiliev, the defenseman, rushing in with it now. Drops the pass on the right side. Here's Golikov turned around, tried to feed Vasiliev. He gets hammered against the boards by Ahern, and the United States team brings it back to center. They're 2-on-1 going in now. Now the Soviets come in. Golikov caught up with it, and there's going to be a play whistle down. And I believe a penalty detected by the referee, Andy Lagasse, inside that USSR blue line. It'll be a Soviet penalty to number 13, Alexander Golikov. Did you catch it, Bill?
I didn't see it, Don. Did you notice all the Russian passing? Just incredible passing. Canadian or the U.S. players came back to the same play, and they just haven't played enough together. And Freddie Ahern dropped it there for Bennett, and he just wasn't expecting it.
So scientific, so quick, and their reflexes are just incredible to watch.
Well, I listened to Freddie Shiro during the intermission while you were getting a soda. Very interesting talk, and that was part of it there. The Russians are so adept, and they're so quick. They're all-round athletes. They're top soccer players. They're top gymnasts, and it shows the way they move out there on the ice.
I'll tell you, Fred Shiro knows that Russian system and how they think and react as well as any man in North America. Here's a pass right in front. Oh, a point-blank save by Tretьяк, robbing Dean Telefos, who had him cold.
I'll tell you, this U.S. power play is looking all right, Don. Great pass by Robbie Fatorik. Spotted Dean Talafas over there in the high slot. Maybe we'll see it here. Here it is. Chartra over to Fatorik. Controls it. He skates in, fakes his shot, and lays it right in there. Just Dean's all alone, gets his puck up on Tretьяк, and
he couldn't find a corner, could he? He drove it right up into him. He couldn't go left or right.
I don't think he meant to get up that high. I think when you're that close, you should shoot in.
What a great scoring chance for the United States to break this Soviet shutout. 6:48 left now, a minute 45. And Kulikov's penalty. Talafas a good stiff body check there. And the Soviet player came out of the corner swinging. He didn't like that. As gloves come up now, and Kemper's player, and that USSR corner to the left. Get them calmed down with 6:44 remaining. Bабинов skating out of there, back to the Soviet bench to cool off.
We're going to have another look. Here it is, Don. Russian players got it now. Bennett and Talafas started getting up on the guy.
That's not what you mean by 2-on-1, is it?
They could have called that one piling on.
There were too many men on the ice in one spot. It was Repnev who took the pounding, and he didn't like it. He fought his way out of the corner. All right, play about to resume now. A minute 41 left on that Soviet penalty. The Russians with Repnev in behind the goal, failing to make his pass click, comes to Harvey Bennett. Away from Bабinov, swings it back to the point, the left side. Try to work it across to Chartra. Bad pass thrown down there. And the Soviets come back now. Repnev and Lebedev with it. Lebedev killing this penalty, taking all kinds of time. Gives it back to Repnev. Over to Lebedev. These two men playing games with the puck here at the expense of the Team USA power play. And having lost his stick, Fatorik kicks it back to his defense player, Chartra, who gave the puck away once again almost. That was Repnev with a chance. Saved by Nyrup. Nyrup comes across the blue line, or it is Jensen at least. Jensen swings behind the goal, out in front. No one there to connect on the relay. Repnev. One-on-one, lets a fast shot go. Handled high with the glove hand of Mike Curran. 40 seconds to go, and Kulikov's slashing penalty for the USSR. The United States has not capitalized yet on a power play. They'd love to hear, but right now the Soviets bring it inside. That was Vladimir Krikунов. Had his play broken up. On the left side, sweeping down, it is Bennett. Tall, rangy Kurt Bennett inside the blue line. Drops it back for Fatorik. Fatorik stick check there momentarily. Kept in by Chartra. Chartra down to Jensen. Jensen ties up, leaves it there. In the corner, it slides free for a Hearn. Then a Hearn gets himself tied up by a Soviet player. And they go down in the corner trying to force a face-off. Bабинов finally squeezes the puck with his skates and brings about a face-off. Rick Chartra, who's played for the Nova Scotia Voyageurs in the American League and in the playoffs with the Montreal Canadiens, made a fine contribution. He's got a great future. Got caught a couple of times down ice, made a couple of mistakes that were almost costly, but as a defenseman, he put the pressure on from that point on the Soviets on that attack. We have just 2 seconds left now, the penalty to Kulikov. So it appears the Russians have killed off the American power play once again. Here's a misconduct now coming up to Nyrup. He said something to referee Andy Lagasse, and Lagasse was having none of that.
I don't know what that was all about. The only thing I can figure out, Don, is Team USA was arguing that the Russian player held it and there shouldn't have been a whistle. Should have been a penalty, or he should have played it.
Well, Nyrup is back talking to him again. He's got the misconduct already. And that effectively takes Nyrup out of this game. He's played well. May have been a penalty. It's Fatorik going into the box, not Nyrup. Nyrup was down talking, I guess, to the captain, appealing the misconduct given to Bobby Fatorik. So they've lost him for the game. Now Kulikov comes out on the ice to end the shorthanded situation for the Soviets. Again, we didn't see anything on the part of Fatorik, but obviously he got close enough to say something the referee didn't want to hear. 5 5 minutes left in the hockey game. He's played well, young Bobby Fedoruk. I said it'd be a shame to lose Narup. It's a shame to lose this young man, too, the way he's played. All right, action around that Soviet net. Ahern falling, trying to follow it up. Slides down inside the United States blue line. Here is Alexandrov, but he just missed the hat trick. Just missed his third goal of the night. Vikulov along the boards, pressured there. It's held in momentarily at the blue line. Finally shot in behind the American goal. Alexandrov flipped it right out in front, and Curran had to hang on. Czechoslovakia leading Canada 1-0 in Montreal with only 4 minutes left in that game, Billy.
That's a bit of an upset, I'd have to say.
The upset not only is that they're leading, but that powerful, individually talented Team Canada team has been held scoreless for almost 60 minutes by the Czechs.
Well, where does that leave? Where's my standings here? Where does that leave now? If
Czechoslovakia wins, they'll go to first place, and then it's between the Soviets and Canada that game Saturday to decide who plays the Czechs in the final. So Canada must win against the Soviets if they are to go on, if they should lose this game tonight. Of course, a tie brings about different implications, but right now it's 1-0 for the Czechs. In this game, 4-0 USSR. Just over 4 minutes left. Norris keeps it inside the Soviet blue line. Then Zlukov runs him down. He takes the Soviet player for a spill. There's a battle going on. Gusef is getting pounded by Hangsleben. The Soviet player was punched twice by the American. The others so far are staying out of it. That almost reminds me of Ricky Lee in Moscow pounding Valery Harlamov of the Soviet Union as Game 6 ended. Hangsleben was angered by the Soviet player and fired 2 punches off at him. At center ice, Vasiliev and Butch Williams are having a little tete-a-tete. I don't think either one can understand the other.
I think maybe Vasiliev came off the bench there. Butch Williams intercepted him because there's 6 Russians out there right now.
That's right. That is what must have happened. They have 7 men on the ice.
Here's Butch Williams and Vasiliev having a little chit-chat at center ice.
You know, I'm not sure the international rules provide for a penalty of that nature as they do in the National Hockey League now with the first man off the bench. That's a new NHL rule, certainly, a year or so ago.
Yeah, they brought in a few more this year, Don, to try and curb the so-called brawling. And
I think that is going to be a match penalty, if we heard that right. Let's see what happened that caused this outburst between these 2 players. Here's Hangsleben. He just walked up and hammered him. He walked up and started punching the Soviet player. Saw it there on the right of your screen. And then he's hammering him when he's down. Gusef didn't get a shot in. He took about 5 blows from Hangsleben.
Well, the Russians don't like to fight, Don. They don't agree with that. It's not part of the game, and they don't have any fighting over in their leagues. I'll tell you, if I was Hangsleben, I wouldn't want to fool around with John D'Amico out there. He just missed him with a little bit of a shot. I've known John ever since I've been in the league, and he's a pretty strong boy.
Vasiliev in conference with the officials.
No doubt he's arguing about his penalty. I don't think he deserves one, but...
Well, Gusef certainly didn't, unless you wore 2 minutes for, impersonating a punching bag.
No, Gusef, I guess, isn't. That's Vasiliev. He came off the bench.
Yes, that may be the call then. For coming off the bench, they've awarded that penalty. So it's provided for under these rules as well. You just don't see it happen that often in international hockey with an absence of fighting, so I couldn't really be sure. I couldn't remember ever seeing that before. All right, play is underway. There's been a match penalty, a bench penalty for leaving it to Vasiliev of the Soviet Union as the American player hammered the Soviet player Gusef. And is gone. Here's Narup now for the United States. We've had a misconduct and a match penalty given out in the last few minutes of play. 3:35 to play in the game. And they whistle that play down for a face-off which is going to come all the way back down the ice into the American zone.
It's a good look at Peanuts O'Flэгерti, Don. He's a real firecracker player for the Vancouver Canucks.
Peanuts O'Flэгerti.
I'm sure you've heard of his father. Great NHL star for a number of years.
1-0 for Czechoslovakia over Canada very late in Montreal, and 4-0 for the USSR here over Team USA, while Sweden has been beaten by Finland by an 8-6 score, all in Canada Cup action tonight. With a minute left now, it's still 1-0 for the Czechs in Montreal. Here, 4-0, of course, with 3:34 to play. The Soviets playing one man short with Vasiliev in the penalty box, but of course they're at even terms on account of the match penalty handed out to the American player, Alan Hangsleben. And I think that probably was born out of frustration as much as anything else. This American team has thrown all they have at the Soviets. They were disorganized early in the game, but they came back to play so well in the second period and had so many good scoring chances that just missed.
A few breaks this period too, Don. They just can't seem to beat Tretьяк right now, so you're right. I think it's a little frustration. This loss, it definitely knocks them out of any contention of the top two teams.
Backhand shot sailed wide into the United States corner, picked up by Harvey Bennett. Bennett, of course, Kurt Bennett, tall, rangy brothers in Team USA. Harvey brings it to the center ice area, then got tracked down by the Soviet player, number 12, Vladimir Kovin. It's inside the American line. Shot back to center ice, too far for Milbury. That'll slide down the ice and result in an icing call against the United States. And now we're told that Czechoslovakia has beaten Canada 1-0. That is a final score from the Montreal Forum, which sends the Czechs to the top of the pack with 7 points. Canada has 6. The Soviets, if they win this game, will have 5. Sweden has 3. Finland has 2. And the United States, unless they can come back, it seems doubtful now, will trail with 1.
Don, would you promo Saturday night's game on PBS, Canada and Russia?
So it'll come down to a very important game to decide the opponent for the Czechs. Canada versus the Soviets on Saturday from Toronto. You'll see that on PBS. A game will be starting at 8 Eastern Time. Gusef has recovered sufficiently from the pounding. He took a few minutes ago to play this puck up on the right side across the line for Repnev. Repnev lost it there. It goes into the corner. That is Alexander Golikov trying to get it free at the crease, and it is held by Mike Curran, with Christie holding the Soviet player off with 2:41 to play in the game and 41 seconds in the bench penalty to Vasiliev. Don Chevrier with Billy Harris of the New York Islanders with you from the Philadelphia Spectrum, as we have seen an inspired and motivated USSR team spring to action early, take a commanding lead, and then hold off the thrusts of the American team the rest of the way. Here's a pass on the right side for Lou Nanny, getting across to Christie. No, Billy, it's an unusual game of hockey when you think that Team USA tied the Czechs 4-4 on Tuesday, and the Czechs tonight beating Canada 1-0 in the Montreal Forum. There's a goal, the 5th goal by Repnev. And he drove that one on a great shot indeed. Past goalie Mike Curran.
Great shot. And I was just about to say, U.S. is playing well. It's been a great game so far, holding off the Russians, but Repnev broke in there on the left side. We'll see it coming up here in a second. Excellent shot.
Here it is, Bob.
You just can't hold these guys off forever, Billy. That's what it
A little
amounts to.
pass right in here. Christie tries to get a stick on him, but picks that far corner. Mike didn't have too much chance on that one.
Well, they can thank Kulikov for that play because he set Repnev up beautifully. Here they come again. A quick shot. Gloved and deflected off the target by Mike Curran. But again, there's no faulting Curran in his performance tonight for Team USA. Outshot 29-22. 5-0 the USSR is the score with fewer than 2 minutes remaining now. Here's the long lead pass. Sargent recovering for the United States. Comes to Milbury in the American corner. Out to center ice. Russians content to backpedal a bit now and use up some time. Confident they've won this game by a comfortable margin. Repnev's goal is the first one tonight not scored by that big line of Alexandrov, Zhutkov, and Vikulov. And that shot drives wide. The rebound is loose in there. Picked up by Sargent and cleared down the ice for the United States with now 1 minute and 20 seconds left to play. Remember, Czechoslovakia has beaten Canada 1-0 tonight, while Finland upset the Swedish team 8-6. It's been quite a night in Canada Cup hockey in 3 cities: Philadelphia, Montreal, and Winnipeg. Here comes Bennett, weaving his way away from Zhluktov. Into the center ice area, got tracked down by Maltsev, who's been used sparingly in this third period. Of course, the Soviet veteran. Gusev's had good ice time, though, and he's on there right now in possession of the puck at the blue line. 45 seconds to play in the game. Hops over Vikulov, stick that pass. Goes into the corner. Vikulov waiting for it there. Intercepted by Bennett. Bennett across to Milbury. Milbury skates inside the Soviet line. Bumps at the boards, gives it back to Bennett. Bennett's pass off the boards too far for Chartrand on the point. Comes right back down to Mike Curran with now 20 seconds left. Chartrand had it taken away by Maltsev. The pass bounced off of Maltsev. Stops. Feeds it across to Vikula. Back to Maltsev. Maltsev getting set. He couldn't get full wood on it. The deflection pops into the glove of Mike Curran with 5 seconds to play.
That's one time those passes backfired, Don.
One too many, and the Soviets over the years have consistently done that. They have not learned to shoot when they get the chance. They await the perfect play. So we have 5 seconds left here, and the Czechs, having beaten Canada 1-0, have turned this tournament upside down. It means that Team Canada must now, with their first loss tonight, defeat the Soviets on Saturday in Toronto. And you'll see that on PBS Saturday night from Maple Leaf Gardens. Seconds ticking down to 2 as Vikulov is elbowed by Milbury. And there it is, the final buzzer to end the USA-USSR Canada Cup hockey game here in the Spectrum.
A little bit of a scuffle there with Williams. He looked like he wanted to start something. I don't know.
Well, the officials, and these are KG veterans, D'Amico, the linesman, and Pavlich moved right in there. Final shots on goal are 30-22, which makes it appear much closer than it was. But the Soviets got the jump early and maintained that advantage.